Hi, I'm Pamela Pettit, a Senior Solution Architect with Databricks, and today I'm going to be walking you through an overview of unitycatalog. Unitycatalog is Databricks' unified governance for data and AI, and it's recently been open sourced. It gives you unified visibility into all of your data and AI assets. It includes a single permission model for all of these assets. And with Databricks, it offers AI-powered monitoring and observability. It also offers open data sharing, so not only can you manage all of your assets within your organization, but you can manage all of your assets with your partners and your downstream customers. It includes a metadata management layer for all of your files, tables, machine learning models, and other data and AI assets. And it gives you complete access control, lineage, discovering, auditing, and sharing. Your unitycatalog Metastore is a top-level layer where you can create multiple different catalogs. Each catalog can have many schemas, and each schema can have a collection of data and AI assets. That includes volumes, which are abstraction layers on top of your files, so your S3 buckets. It includes tables and views, and then it also includes machine learning models and functions. In addition to all of the catalogs, standard catalogs that you can create, you can also create foreign catalogs, which are catalogs for other systems that you'd like to create federated access to. So these could be SQL warehouses, Snowflake, Redshift, all of those systems that you'd like to see for that complete unified view. In addition to your standard catalogs and your foreign catalogs, you also have the option for sharing catalogs. These are catalogs that can be Delta shared with you, either from other Databricks workspaces or from our Databricks marketplace. So let's dive in and see how all of these different assets fit within your Databricks workspace. So before we get to the workspace, we're going to start out at our Databricks account console. So your account console is where all of your account admins are able to see a complete global view of all of the assets that you're managing for Databricks. This includes your Databricks workspaces, your Databricks Metastores, as well as usage metrics, all of your user and group management, and all the other account level configurations. We're going to get started with your Metastores here. So when you go to the Catalog tab here, you'll see a list of all of your available unitycatalog Metastores. You may need to create one to get started, and you can do so directly within the UI here with this blue Create Metastore button, but you can also do this programmatically. For now, I'll just go ahead and click this Create Metastore button. The only two required fields that you'll need to create your Metastore is a name, so I'll go ahead and call mine EMEA Metastore, and to select a region. You can only deploy one Metastore per region, so you'll see here in these various regions I've already deployed a Metastore, so I'll have to select one of the regions that I haven't already deployed to. Because it's one Metastore per region, it's good practice to kind of give your Metastore a name that might make sense for the region that you're deploying it. In addition to these two required fields, you have the option to assign a storage location for your Metastore. The storage location that you assign for your Metastore then becomes the default location for any managed assets that are within this Metastore. So if we go back to our diagram here, if I create a storage location here at this top level for my Metastore, and I don't define a storage location at the catalog, schema, or asset level, then the data for those assets will be stored in the Metastore location here. I can override this at the catalog level, at the schema level, and at the asset level. So you can override this location at all three levels here. And you can optionally choose to leave these blank. So if I don't set a location here, that means that my top level location is going to be my catalog. So for every catalog I deploy, I'm going to have to define a storage location. In this case, I already have a Metastore deployed. I also already have my Workspace deployed. So I'll go ahead and dive right into my Databricks Workspace and we can get started. So here I am in a Databricks Workspace, and on the left-hand side here, you'll see my main menu. And I'm currently in the Catalog tab here, and this is going to be my home base. This is where I'll be able to see within, all of the catalogs that this Databricks Workspace has access to and that I have permissions to. Across the top level here, because I'm a Metastore admin within this, for this Metastore here, I have access to all of these different options. And where I would start when I add data is by first adding a storage credential. So storage credential is, the credential that I have to access my cloud storage for all of the data assets that I want to create. Once I configure a storage credential, I can then use that to configure an external location. And an external location would be a specific S3 bucket that I can access using that particular storage credential. Once I have these two things configured, I'm free to start creating catalogs within my Metastore. So if I click Add Catalog here, you'll see a UI that pops up where I can give a catalog name. Let's choose Databricks Demo here. And this is a standard catalog here. I'm not creating a foreign catalog, so I'm not connecting to a separate warehouse. And it's not a shared catalog here because I'm not connecting it via Delta sharing. So this is just a standard catalog. And here you'll see, here's where I can select my storage location. So that would have been the S3 external location that I configured. And I only need to select the storage location because remember my storage credential is bound to that storage location. So it automatically knows what credential to use to connect to this particular storage location. In this case, I've already defined a storage location at my Metastore level, so I'm going to create this as a managed catalog, which means I won't define any storage location here. So all I need is my name, and I can go ahead and click Create. Once the catalog has been created, I can click here to view my catalog. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, in my org, I'll be able to see all of the catalogs that I have access to. Every time you create a catalog, by default, you'll get a default schema within that. And then you'll also get the information schema, which just gives you some details about all the assets within that particular catalog. When you click into any of these assets from your catalog here, you'll see the detailed view on the right-hand side of the page. So we'll be able to see an overview, we'll be able to see information about the catalog, including the catalog owner, and we'll be able to see all of the permissions associated with this asset. And right here in the browser, in a point-and-click manner, I can click this Grant button to grant any type of permissions I like to users or groups within my organization. We also offer privilege presets such as Data Reader and Data Editor, which will pre-select a collection of permissions that are typically required for the types of activities that those roles might complete. In addition to permissions, specifically for catalog, You'll also see workspaces here. And this is where you'll be able to select what workspaces this specific catalog should be accessible from. So that means, maybe you have your prod catalog that you only want accessible from your production workspaces, while, maybe you only want your dev catalog accessible from your dev workspaces. So this is where you'll be able to configure that. So this is just a little bit of a demo, but I've actually already gone ahead and created a catalog here with a few different schemas, but we'll start out in this common schema here. And when I look at the common schema, you'll see here it gives me a summary of all the different types of assets that I have within that schema. Right now, I just have one asset, which is a volume location. And a volume location is essentially just an abstraction layer on top of your cloud storage. So it just gives me an easy path, leveraging my catalog name, my schema name, and my volume name to interact with all of my cloud files. So here you can see I already have this directory sources within my S3 bucket. It contains subdirectories that I can browse through to see all of the files that I have, in this case, in my landing zone. So this folder here contains all of the source files that I want to use to create all of my tables within my various schemas here. You'll notice that this is a great UI for your business users. I have this easy button here that I can upload directly to this volume simply by dragging and dropping files. So your users are able to create files here and then start working with them directly as a part of their analytics projects without having to navigate directly to an S3 bucket. And you can also, create directories here, copy the paths to these various assets. Just a really convenient way that as you're working on all your analytics projects here, you stay within that kind of single pane of glass to do all of your data and AI work. This volume location as an abstraction layer on top of S3 has all of the same permissioning setup as it would have for your catalog, schemas, tables, and other data and AI assets. Here we're able to grant permissions such as read volume or write to the volume to different users and groups, just like we did with our catalog. So everything we've seen here has been point and click so far. We haven't had to jump into code yet, but everything that we've done we can do programmatically. So I'll jump over to a notebook now. So here I'm in my workspace for Databricks, and I'm in a SQL notebook here. And in this SQL notebook, I'm going to interact with that catalog we just saw. So here's my UC AWS demo catalog. And I'm going to create a Medicare Bronze schema. And I'm going to read files from that landing location, from that volume location that we just saw to create tables. And you'll notice everything I'm doing here is just in straight ANSI SQL. So I can go ahead and create my catalog and my schema. And I can then use that catalog and schema here. And then here I can go ahead and create a table. So in this case, I'm going to create a streaming table, which means I'm going to incrementally read all of the files from this particular folder in my volume location, which is in my S3 bucket, and I'm going to append them to this table here. So you'll see this is very simple. I don't have to configure any credentials within my notebook. I don't have to remember any long paths to my S3 buckets or do anything special here, purely because I've done all of the permissioning in that single pane of glass in Unity Catalog for my storage credentials, my external locations, the catalog itself. I'm able to create these assets and interact with files. And I can do that for a few more dimension tables, as well as a fact table here. And then programmatically, I can also grant permissions to all of those Unity Catalog assets. So just like I was doing in the UI previously to point and click and add permissions for users and groups, here I'm going to pass in a group name right here. And I'm going to grant permissions like use catalog, use schema, select on my catalogs, schemas, and tables here to this particular group. So with just a few quick ANSI SQL commands, I'm able to grant permissions for those users to interact with these assets. So if I go back to my Catalog Explorer here, and if I go into this Medicare Bronze schema, we'll be able to see those tables that I just created. And if we look at the permissions here, we'll be able to see that that user group, UC101, that I defined in my notebook here, has all the required permissions. If we look at the schema itself and look at the permissions, we'll see that user has the use schema permission. And if we go up to the catalog level here, we'll see that user group has the use catalog permission as well. So next what I'll do is I'll read all this bronze data to create some silver data. So I'm continuing on with my medallion architecture. I'm increasing the quality of my tables here, and I'm going to read from that bronze schema we just saw and create a validated data set in Medicare so I can do some analysis with it. So I can do the same thing here, create and use my schemas, and this time I'll create a materialized view. And what this is going to do, this gives me a way to define my table, but also define some details about that table. In this case, for each of my dimension tables, I'm going to define a primary key. So for each one, you'll see I define that primary key here. And then finally, for my fact table, I'm able to define a foreign key to each of my dimension tables to build out that relationship. And just like I did with my bronze tables here, I can go ahead and grant permissions programmatically to all of my silver tables. And what's great about this is if I go back to my catalog here, and if I look at my silver tables, if we click into this fact table here, I'm able to leverage all of these foreign keys that I've set up to see a complete entity relationship diagram of all of these tables together. So all of these relationships that have been built out, I'm now able to get a view of in one place to see the complete diagram. So that covers files in our volume location, reading those files to our bronze tables, validating them to our silver tables. But I might also want to create some tables or access some data that I don't have in files. Maybe I already have it in another warehouse, like a Redshift, a Snowflake, a SQL warehouse. And Unity Catalog gives us a way to have federated access to those assets as well. So directly within my UI, if we pop back here for a second, if I go back to my Catalog Explorer and I add a catalog, remember previously we created a standard catalog, but I can also create a foreign catalog. And a foreign catalog allows me to leverage connections to upstream sources to be able to have federated access to them and view them just like any other Unity catalog here. So if I go back to my notebook, here I'm going to create a Snowflake connection, and I'm just using some Databricks secrets here so they don't have all that information in plain text. So I can create my connection, and then I can create my foreign catalog. So what I just showed in the UI, here I'm just doing that programmatically to create this SF Fed AWS catalog here. So I can go ahead and create that catalog, and now I can select from this catalog here directly against the table. And this is now data that I'm getting back directly from Snowflake. So that query is getting pushed down to Snowflake, and I can view that data. And if I go back to my Catalog Explorer here, you can now see I also have this catalog that I just set up here. And here I can view the connected schemas from my Snowflake catalog right here. So all of this, you'll see the data source is Snowflake. I can still see the columns here, and I can provision permissions to this catalog to other users and groups, this foreign catalog, just like I do all of my other assets. So I can apply select permissions directly against these federated assets and get that complete single pane of glass view against these assets. But it's more than just the select permissions that I can create. Once we start refining our data for business users to interact with, we want to be able to apply row and column level security. So if I go back to my notebook here, unitycatalog gives us a way to register functions, so register particular pieces of logic, and reuse them across different assets. This is a great way to provide consistency for how you're handling particular types of data that should be protected. So here I'm going to create two functions. I'm going to mask create a function to mask the NPI information. And then I'm also going to create a filter here. So I want to filter out any rows that aren't within these three states if the user querying the table is not a member of the geo group. So I'll go ahead and create these two functions here. And now let's just see this in action. So if I look at my groups here that I'm a part of, you'll see that I am not a member of the geo group or the HR admin group. So these functions should apply to me. I shouldn't be able to see all the data. I should instead get returned these masked and filtered data sets. So let's test these tables before the data is filtered. If I query against my foreign catalog here, against this provider table, you'll see I have this prescriber NPI column, and I'm able to see all of this data here. And in my geo column table here, in this geography dimension, I'm able to see all of the different state information. So I want to apply the row level security and the column level filtering to these two tables. So here, I'm going to apply to my Snowflake federated table a mask function to mask that NPI information. And then I'm also going to create a row level filter here on my geography table. So this is my standard delta table here. So across these two assets here I'm creating a row filter on my materialized view. So that row filter becomes a part of the definition. And here I'm just altering a table to set a mask. So since it's not materialized view, I can apply this alter after the fact here. So we'll just give this materialized view a second to update here. And in the meantime, we'll check out how this filter has been applied to our Snowflake table. So here, I'm going to select a few columns from my foreign Snowflake table. And you can see here that I should see this mask data. So we'll give it a try now. And yeah, you can see the data that's coming back here is all that masked information. And if we select against our geography table here, now where I could previously see all of the states, now I just see the subset, those 3 states that I have access to. So again, nothing different without between these commands here. I'm selecting against the same table, but here, now that the functions have been applied, you'll see that my data access has become limited. So all of this row and column level security is great not just for querying against the data this way, but this can carry over to and be leveraged in other ways across other assets. So here you'll see I'm just using a notebook to query against these tables. But we have other ways to interact with these tables, one of which is our Genie Spaces. So Genie Spaces is like a chatbot. It gives you a way for your business analysts to ask questions in natural language and get back answers. So here I've gone ahead and I've created a Genie room. And in this case, I've used my tables that I've created, so my Delta tables here. I've also leveraged my Snowflake table, so my federated table. And then I've also added in a data asset from our marketplace. So remember, we've seen 2 types of catalogs so far. Our AWS catalog is our standard catalog. Our SFFed catalog is our foreign catalog, because we're federating access to our Snowflake data. And here, this is that shared catalog. So I've gone to our Databricks marketplace here, and I've searched through the tables that we have available for demographics data. And you'll see we even have a collection of free assets here. So for the demographics data, I've just added that asset as a shared catalog, which means I can query against it. So when I go to my Genie space here, right here is where I'm just adding that shared asset. So I'll go back to chats here, and we'll go ahead and explain the data set. So what tables, as a business user, I can come in, click explain the data set, and Unity Catalog can leverage all of the metadata information that we have to understand the relationships between the data, even infer relationships between the data. So here we can see exactly how these tables are connected. So how each of my dimension tables are connected to CMS costs. We're able to see the federated access and how it's connected to my standard Delta tables here. And then we're also able to see our shared demographics table and how that could be connected to all of these additional tables here. So here you can see I've asked the question, who are the top 5 prescribers by name and NPI with the most claims? And you'll notice here I get back the top 5 with the most total claims, and you'll see that the row and column level security that I've applied to my NPI column here is respected. So, all of that great governance that I'm applying still is respected even in this natural language interface. So I can continue to ask questions here of my data. So, for example, what is the total drug cost for beneficiaries over 65 years old by abbreviated state for the year 2020? And you'll see again that column level filtering comes in. And if we look at the generated code here, you'll even see that it's able to join tables correctly to come up with this answer here. So I can ask another question, and this time I'll ask a simple question: what is the total population by state? And this is a generic question, so let's see if it's able to correctly And it did. It actually asked this data against our demographics data. So this is that shared data set that we have from our marketplace. So this is all that demographics information. And now what I want to do is I want to say, can you please join these results? So join this information that I've gotten back from the marketplace with the previous query about drug costs by state, and show me a per capita drug costs by state. So I want it to join my demographics data with my actual geographic data here, and now you'll see that the row and column level security is respected. I'm able to get back the complex per capita drug cost here by joining that marketplace information, and then I can actually auto visualize this this data set that I have here, get back my information, and then if I want to, I can save this image, include it in a presentation, and be on my way. So all of that detail that you have, all of the connections that we're building out, all of the rich metadata and governance that we have in our single pane of glass here within unitycatalog, we're able to leverage with the Databricks intelligence engine, Databricks IQ, and our Genie spaces. So let's take a look here. So far we've seen our files in our volume location. We've ingested our bronze tables here, and we've ingested some validated data from our standard catalog, our Snowflake catalog, and a shared catalog to be able to view all the data together. But we can do more than this. So far we've seen a lot of BI activity, but we can also start using this data for machine learning. So here I've actually joined a bunch of tables together to build out a data set so I can train a machine learning model. And you'll notice here when I look at this table, I get all of this column information. I can see I'm the owner of this, but I also get this AI suggested description. So this is a description that allows me to build out additional metadata about the tables that I'm creating. This can be a very time-intensive process for your users. So this kind of speeds that along by leveraging our intelligence engine to populate these descriptions that you can then accept, reject, or modify. And you can do this not just for your table, but for the comments across each of the columns as well. So if I click this AI Generate button here, it's going to go through each of the columns that I have and generate a description for me. And if we take a look here, you'll be able to see that even in column names that are a little bit abstract, like here, tote bennies, we're actually able to see it gives us an intelligent description here. So this is the total number of beneficiaries for the drug. That's a great column for people that are trying to understand what this data set is. It starts to bridge the gap and give us richer information between the analysts that are consuming these data sets and need to understand it, and the data engineers that are building out and curating these data sets. So here I've created my training data set, and like I mentioned, I created this from a collection of tables here. And if we look at our lineage graph, we're actually able to see that, my Snowflake data set, that Snowflake table, as well as a collection of my Delta tables here, were all joined together to create this training data set. And I can even see what's downstream from this training data set, which are my predictions. And if I expand this out and look at my cost prediction column here, I'm able to see all of the columns from my training data set, from my feature data set, that are leveraged to create this prediction in my predictions table here. And so I get really rich information all the way down to the column level about how all of my tables are connected. And I can even continue going upstream here to see the, the volume locations and the bronze tables that were leveraged to create these silver tables here. So we saw that I was able to leverage this training data set to write out predictions. And you can see here that I have not just my tables and the security functions, but I also have a model here. So this model is what was leveraged to build these predictions. And so you can see that this gets registered directly within my schema, along with all of my other data and AI assets. And once the model is registered, I can click on the version here, and I can go directly back to the run that created this particular model, including access to all of the parameters, all of the metrics, as well as all of the artifacts that were built out from that particular run. So I'm able to get a lot of rich information here and have a single pane of glass across all of my files, tables, models, functions, and apply permissions to all of these assets. So for example, which users are actually able to leverage this model, all in one single pane of glass here. So as you just saw in the demo, we were able to create a Metastore, create catalogs, and create schemas, create different tables by reading from files in our volume locations, and then apply security onto those tables with standardized security functions, and train and register our models directly within those schemas right next to the tables that are leveraging them for predictions. And we saw that each one of these assets has security applied in the same exact way, whether through the UI or programmatically. We also saw how we could connect to other foreign assets like Snowflake or Redshift with our foreign catalogs, and leverage those same security functions and permissions on top of those foreign tables that are federated. And then we also saw how we could integrate shared catalogs via delta sharing into our Metastore here and leverage that information along with all the other rich data that we've curated for our business users to consume. I hope this overview was helpful. If you're looking to get started, we do have a collection of tutorials that can help get you on your way. So I would encourage you to visit our Databricks tutorials website, where you can install a collection of examples just like I went through today and get some hands-on experience building out your own Unity Catalog assets. Thanks so much for joining, and we hope that you'll enjoy getting started soon.